know, Afghanistan has come into focus in the recent past, largely because of its pact with Pakistan, right? And the
Sure.
fact that to some extent, I feel that ISK has started putting its foot down in Afghanistan.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
active on the western border of Pakistan, and it is also, that attack at Crocus, which has happened,
Sure.
ISK foot. And I
Sure.
think ISK is a little resurgent in this area, and it will
Sure.
have its effect on Afghanistan and Taliban. So first,
Sure.
let's talk of the Taliban, Afghanistan, Pakistan, the surrounding thing, where Taliban is with respect to everything, and then we'll talk a few other issues about Afghanistan. So let's first talk
Sure.
of what is the status of Taliban in Afghanistan.
So in 2023 and at the beginning of 2024, so a lot of, I would say there's significant improvement. But as we all know that the Taliban lacks governance, it does not have administrative structure, it needs infrastructure, most of it are there any. So it started with in the initial 2023 we saw Taliban trying to poach Western countries to seek some respite in terms of economic development, economic aid. Then at the second half of 2023, we saw them making some efforts into, I would say, give a positive image of growth and prosperity, opening opportunities to regional economies. In the first half of 2024, sir, there was a shift in their policy. The entire focus was to seek legitimacy, as in as a legitimate entity, which gives them the I would say not only a probable entry into the to the European ecosystem, but also make them a legitimate entity in the UN. So they wanted recognition, sir.
Yeah,
If I may,
recognition. Yeah.
recognition.
So,
If I may summarize,
so,
sir.
so the important point you made here is Taliban is
Uh,
seeking recognition and legitimacy,
yes,
and
sir.
they've been able to take Afghanistan through with some kind of stability. I mean, it's a
Sir.
poor stability, but it has been largely stable. And
Right,
we all know that the Afghani is doing better than the Pakistani rupee.
sir.
Yeah,
True.
their economic indicators in Afghanistan are much better than what it is in Pakistan.
Sir.
Overall, Afghanistan sounds more peaceful than Pakistan today, right?
Sir. Yes,
So
sir.
Taliban has entrenched itself. So
Yes,
let's
sir.
just little give a few ideas about what ISK is doing in this area.
Now, sir, ISP is a very interesting theory in this. It's very interesting to put their perspective in this. And now, sir, the idea was that after quest of recognition is going to come when there is essential, I would say, some sense of peace and prosperity in the region. Now, if you look at the trajectory of from 2023 to 2024, ISK has the attacks posed by ISK and the casualties imposed by ISK is largely is drawn down, sir, pretty much. But the ISK is a paradox, I would say, which still is heavily catered into the minds of regional economies. When I say regional economies, I'm mentioning Central Asian states. So, as part of the to lower, I would say, to bring on the platform Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan per se, there were a lot of negotiations that occurred between them. Uh, both Mutaki and the GDI, the Intelligence Directorate, all of them had numerous meetings with the counterparts in Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan to give them a sense of confidence that look, the peace is stabilized. There is no war happening. There is a lesser influence in the region of ISKP per se. The recruitment has boiled down. But sir, that is not the entire story per se with ISKP. It may appear that the recruitment has drawn down, but ISKP maintains strong connections with Pakistan, sir. And let us be very honest that this is where their founding members were born. The group leaders regularly call on their supporters to carry abroad attacks abroad. They still inside try to search violence in Pakistan, where incidents related to ISKP have become more frequent, sir, after 2021. If you look at the trajectory, now So, Taliban is of the context about fostering international security cooperation, particularly with ISKP. So they've talked to Iranians about it, they've talked to Russians about it, but there is a notion in them that both the Russians and Iranians are currently propagating. US supports ISKP. Now, this is either from their perspective, it is something that they've propped up. The Americans call it an allegation. Uh, According to a source, a State Department, he said, these allegations have been fueled to instill Kabul's paranoia with Taliban officials, which also echo the same thing. So this is the kind of narrative that is currently being played in the region as to who controls ISKP. So some Taliban officials say that Pakistan is providing safe haven to ISKP, and those statements have rather added rising tensions between Kabul and Islamabad, where Islamabad is Kabul is accusing Islamabad of using ISKP to infiltrate in the region, and Islamabad is saying, you use Tehrik-e-Taliban essentially to as an insurgency mounting in the areas where they attack Pakistani army and police forces. Again, Taliban officials have frequently said it in communication to me off the record that they have suspicions that Tajikistan could probably be main source of ISKP recruits. So having a channel conversation with ISKP and then having a channel conversation with Tajikistan, interacting with Taliban, and then Tajikistan being blamed to probably provide recruits to ISKP. This is a very interesting context that have come up with respect to ISKP. Now, so the idea is so Iran has also started hinting that they'll work with Taliban in terms of counterterrorism. They've also said that countries like US and others, which has essentially fueled this as to I would say undermine Kabul and their security apparatuses. Taliban's GDI have neutralized a lot of ISKP leaders. There is also, according to Tehran, Taliban's intelligence have matured. They are more effective. They are more precise. In 2022, Taliban carried a series of raids that killed very prominent figures in the ISKP, including their deputy leader, interim leader, intelligence chief, head of judiciary. So that means they've been neutralizing a lot of ISKP threats. And it is also true in taking a look at the trajectory right now, sir, that the ISKP attacks have declined. But the recruitment towards ISKP is still on the rocks, as in it's
Right.
still
So,
increasing, sir.
okay. So that means ISKP is not weakening, it is strengthening. The
Sir,
recruitment is going up. Okay.
sir.
And they are posing some kind of a threat to Taliban, whether you like it or not. I
Right,
mean,
sir.
if all this action is happening, Taliban
Sir.
is feeling the heat, right?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
And from what you said, that it appears that ISKP is a bit of a loose cannon out here.
Sir.
Okay,
It is,
is it with
essentially.
Pakistan? Is it with
Sir.
Pakistan, or is it with USA? Is a question mark. Okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
Sir.
Or what is Tajikistan's role in this is also a question mark. Okay,
Sir.
many reports say that ISK is acting against Pakistan. It's
Sir.
creating problems in Pakistan. There are
Yes,
also
sir.
reports that ISI is harboring, fomenting, ISK. So
Right,
all
sir.
this thing. So what is your opinion on this? Let me ask you, because
Uh,
it's a confusing kind of a
it's,
scenario.
it's very confusing because I'll also tell the audience the ISKP is of the objective to become a more potent transnational threat, which many scholars have continued to argue whether is this is this question even relevant? Does it have the operational authority and the financial crunch that is currently facing? Because ISKP, being a part of the larger gambit of IS, at some point of time, financial remunerations coming in terms of Hawala and other transactions from Syria and Iraq, which has largely been cordoned after the operation that conducted by Americans and then their allies. But on the other hand, sir, Taliban and Iran are of the opinion they've said it jointly, they've said it independently, and then they, I would say, territory of ISKP is near Afghanistan border. And this is proven, this according to the Taliban, they're saying because they've eliminated group cells, certain lone as well as group sleeper individuals, sleeper cells in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan in 2022. And the group has, but then, sir, the group has not launched any further, I mean, they've not launched any cross-border attacks since then. So since 2022, the cross-border implication is silent. But the recruitment, if you see in the
It's
areas
gone
of
up.
South Asia, it's
Yeah,
definitely
it's
gone up.
gone up. It's gone up. So what you said is that ISK has a larger transnational ambition,
Uh,
right?
right,
And
sir.
that
It
is
has.
very clear because it's gone and attacked that Crocus in Moscow. It's also carried
Uh,
out an attack in Iran,
uh,
on that Soleimani's in Kerman, right?
in yes,
When
in
it
Tamil.
is anniversary, that attack is also there. It is active in Pakistan also.
So,
Uh, some people say that the recent Dasu attack was done by ISK. There also a
so,
report which says that was done by TTP. So we don't know
so,
where what it is. So there is a whole lot of things. So ISK is a potent force here. There's no doubt about it. But
so,
Taliban remains stable and it has been able to stabilize. And then there is problems now between Taliban and Pakistan. There's no
so,
doubt about it, right? We know
so,
all that. And Pakistan is feeling the
absolutely.
heat. And there is
So,
also uh, uh, undeniable fact that TTP is giving a lot of pain to Pakistan.
yes, sir.
On that, there's no doubt. So
Absolutely.
also the Baluch rebels
Yes, sir.
against Pakistan. So it's a cocktail. It's a heady
So,
cocktail. We don't know who's going after whom. Okay.
so, so,
Is there a case? Just give a quick this thing. Is there a case
so.
where ISK starts supporting TTP?
Now it's very interesting, sir. If you look at the two entities, TTP and ISK. Now, TTP has a representative who sits in the Shura, in the
Hmm.
Akhanda Zada Shura. So the
Yeah.
orders, the dissipation, everything
Everything
comes
comes
from.
through them.
So,
Hmm.
so if we can say that it's a part of an organized structure. It's a part of an organized initiative. Now, ISKP is loose of funds, has members, disgruntled members of the Taliban. They have members of the former Afghan special operations. They have members of the former Afghan army. They have
Hmm.
members who hate the Taliban. They have members who want to, who couldn't rise up the ranks in the Taliban of some way or the other. They're
And they come
disgruntled. They
here.
want to join. They come here.
Hmm.
Now it's a ragtag militia that, let's say, follows the flag of ISKP. It is not the ideology that still carries in the way that it did with Abu Bakr Baghdadi or after his death, the following
Okay.
leadership that came in. It is an initiative, it is a militia that unanimously hates the Taliban. Now, we can also call them Islamist mercenaries who
You see,
would do anything for any point of time if you give
yeah.
them some amount of money for their sustenance. If you
Hmm.
give them money, will they go against Pakistan? Absolutely yes. If you give them money, that is the reason why the Tajiks, I mean the Iranians and the Taliban is essentially saying that it's the Americans. The Americans pumping money to them and saying,
They'll do
do
act
this.
against.
They'll do because we all know, sir. This
So
is
it's a
something that
loose
they did.
cannon.
It's a
It's a
loose
loose
cannon.
cannon.
It's
Okay.
it's a loose cannon. It's a gun for
Okay.
hire, sir.
Okay. Is can they be used by the Chinese?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, sir. They can. Because
So then,
again, sir, but again, sir, there is a point of contention. They can be used, but the question is, sir, will the Chinese use it? Because you've got Uyghurs in ISKP.
uh,
So what the Chinese are doing, what the Beijing is doing, they are providing, I would say, reconnaissance support to Taliban's GDI.
Taliban
They've got
to
their
eliminate.
to eliminate them. So, sir, it's very
Hmm.
interesting. According to one source that I had a conversation with, they apprehended the ISKP Uyghurs. They segregated them when they apprehended them. There was a systematic ethnic-based segregation. The Tajiks and Uzbeks were shot point blank. Uyghurs were wrapped up with a black on them, and then they sent into some random location, nowhere to be found. So
Okay.
the idea is they could have probably been handed over to Beijing. They could have
We do,
had
I mean, that's fine. That's the thing. So China's hand will be there in this whole
yeah,
story.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, sir.
Now we'll come to the guts of what we wanted to speak. What about India, Taliban in this kind of a scenario, and how do we handle the Indian angle
Uh,
of this? India, Afghanistan, larger India, Taliban, and what should be our strategy? Yeah.
sir, it's very interesting the way we come into play because as we know, it's not something that is history. We have been I wouldn't call it absent, but we've been watching it from a very careful position, trying to balance what the perspective is of the Taliban, trying to gauge them. There was a tussle for the embassy in the early 2021. But then we knew that the ambassador is there. Ambassador comes and takes over. Then again, the embassy in not less than a year, or probably less than a year, says that we don't have funds. The embassy shuts down. Um, but sir, the idea is, I would rather put it in what is the perspective of New Delhi and the Taliban's perspective of New Delhi. So this is also equally important, sir. What does Taliban want from us, and what does we want from them? And Mutaki has considered IEA, that is the Islamic Emirate, or the Emirate of Afghanistan, to be significant bilateral perspectives, friends, allies, greater interaction between public officials. He used these words very interchangeably. Fostering regional initiatives, bilateral growth, provide soft infrastructure development, has the means and mechanisms to do it, provide technical assistance, open new doors and avenues. These are something that he and Kabul per se uses it. But the idea is, when I balance New Delhi and Kabul, New Delhi has taken up a synchronized policy of region first approach, developing confidence in regional economies. And this is not necessarily with Kabul. This is a universal approach towards South Asia, regional first approach, developing confidence in regional economies, opening doors, not only in select sectors that mutually benefit, but in vivid sectors, integrating regional development, bringing multi-sectoral initiatives so that the nations can grow together. The same can be applied here. Will it be applied? It's it's. I mean, sir, it's too far-fetched because we are the largest donor to Afghanistan, pledging a whooping amount of 3 to 4 billion, sir. And we've had multiple discussions with the technical team in Indian with the Indian mission there. Alhamdulillah Numani, the Taliban's Minister for Urban Development, has been interacting with the Indian mission since December 2022. They have requested us to initiate projects. They've invited us in developing new suburb towns. Multiple discussions over visas have been happening. They've requested us now. They've started requesting it that to create a dedicated scholarship program for Afghan students uh, currently studying in India, or they want to come and study in India. So the idea is, Taliban has been saying this to us for very long time. Now, what is our perspective? How do we see Taliban? And again, this is my perception, sir. For New Delhi, strengthening the bilateral engagement will again potentially limit or will create the Axis Alliance initiative in Afghanistan. I would say Pakistan and China. They will limit the influence of Pakistan and China, which could elevate our position, or probably make an I would say strategic entry into the great power competition, great game, whatever you intend to call it,
Yeah, so that,
limiting.
there's a logic in what you're saying, that when we
Sir,
enter
sir.
Afghanistan, Pakistan's role and China's role will get limited. And it
Yes, sir.
also appears to me that the Afghanis also, Taliban in Afghanistan, are also reaching
Sir.
out to India so that they can hedge their bets, so that they are
Right, sir.
not too dependent on China and Pakistan. Isn't it so?
Right, sir. Sir.
Right?
And in it, right, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
however, sir, there is still something we know as, whatever today, if we look at the engagement between Kabul and New Delhi, it appears to be tactical, and it does reflect pragmatism. It does reflect the concerns that we have expressed about regional security. We constantly evaluate implications from short-term policy on not only regional security as well, or regional growth as well, or as well as to our national security, sir. Um, and this is one of the, this is, I would say, this is where we shortfall, sir. And the engagement intend to be, all engagements are intended to be a long-term strategic foresight. And still today, it is unclear whether New Delhi aims to have a long-term strategic collaboration, or it aims to evaluate potential possibilities. Because the pattern of policymakers that have been reached out to Taliban, the engagement that has been happening with Taliban, reflects that the urgency has been to achieve short-term objectives, which may include limiting the influence of Islamabad and Beijing, sir.
So that means there is a bit of a hesitancy and ambivalence on the part of Delhi to reach
Sure,
out to Taliban beyond a point. Yeah, it wants to reach
sure,
out, but there are no
sure,
guarantees. And I'll go with Delhi at this point of time. We don't know whether we can trust the Taliban fully or not.
sure,
But
sure,
the fact is that we have to be there is not lost on us, and we must start
sure,
talking, and we must, and most importantly, the way I look at it,
sure.
you have to reach out to the Afghan people. Whatever we can
Yes,
do
sir.
to help the Afghan people, keep the people on our
Sure,
side. See,
sure,
governments go and come and go. Taliban today, something else will come up tomorrow. But the people of
sure,
Afghanistan, we need to reach out, right?
sure.
So,
Right, sir.
so you feel that something more can be done or something less should be done?
Sir, definitely more, sir, because I would say that, sir, um, the current policy that I say that I reflect in the argument, uh, you may feel that it's more of a predicament. But
Hmm.
as we all know, the level of diplomacy that we have been having with Afghanistan, or I would say the Islamic Afghanistan and the Emirate today, um, we have specific objectives to fulfill, and this demonstrates that we still today, and which has been echoed by our Prime Minister, which has been echoed by our leadership and the MEA over and over again, that the responsible, which even you said, sir, that the responsible stakeholder we are attributed as a responsible stakeholder in the lives of local Afghans, which also means that we are committed to foster regional security and growth. So we are balancing the two, sir. But the relationship needs to grow beyond natural, civilizational, and strategic expectations. But also, it needs to have pragmatism, and it needs to suit regional growth. Maybe may achieve short term and medium term, but also may not necessarily be strategic. This is something that
Yeah, it's not a
I
it's a tactical arrangement for
it's
short
a
term
tactical
use.
arrangement. So yes, sir.
The Taliban also wants us. We also want them. So
So,
it's. I'll put it without it's a doctrine of necessity which is going to operate out here,
right, sir.
right?
Right, sir.
And
And
so that's
sir.
how, yeah.
Sir,
And yeah,
sir, to yeah, so I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted
yeah,
to
yeah,
add
good,
a
good.
caveat. I just wanted to add a caveat here, sir. We've been today. It's an opportunity. The reason why I say it's an opportunity is today when you look at the Rahabari Shura, it has more disgruntled members than ever, uh, which used to echo Islamabad's influence. So Islamabad exercising influence on Rahabari Shura is largely diminished, and I would say largely diminished because earlier Islamabad had a representative or certain representatives that they could influence sit in the Rahabari Shura. Even those representatives or any representative that they may have nominated, the echo of Islamabad influence is negligible. It's nullified, which gives us a unique position not only to carry the element of fostering people to people relations, but we also carry the weight I would say as a stakeholder in the eyes of the local people, which Taliban can't question. Which means that we now have a subtle move to sideline the Pakistani factor in India's Afghan policy for once and for all. Now, this also means that, sir, we have an opportunity to interact from people to people initiatives, small scale industries, business houses, greater cultural connect, and make a positive impact on people directly, sir.
Yeah, so that is an opportunity which we should not let go. But at the
Sir.
same time, we are in a quandary that you can't put too many eggs in the Taliban basket.
And it's in the Taliban basket, sir.
Right? And we need to directly reach out to the people and
So,
people to people thing, and the people to people contact will automatically start sidelining Pakistan because Pakistan can't be eliminated from this game, right? On
so,
that I have no doubt. So this is where we are in Afghanistan. Overall, we need to go ahead. So I'll take
so.
some